The next time period is Sardes, AD 1517 to 1798. It means renewal. The time periods we will come to later as to why these particular time periods are relevant. Renewal, that which remains. Literally, Sardes means reformation then. Isn't that incredible? That God should have this in the sequence? The city was impregnable. It was taken twice without resistance. Once by Cyrus, who was king of Medo-Persia, and Antiochus, Greek king, Antiochus the Great. Let's read about this Reformation period. Revelation 3 verse 1. Unto the angel of the church of Sardes write, these things says he that has the 7 spirits of God, and the 7 stars, the teachers, in his hands. I know thy works, that thou hast a name, that thou livest, and art dead. Wow. Here was a renewal, here was new life in the church, something had been discovered, idolatry had been set aside, and there was life, but this life was not complete enough to make it life, there was death in it. Be watchful, strengthen the things which remain, that are ready to die. This is a terrible testimony. So here was life coming, and there were things that had to be restored that were dead, that were now have to be restored to life, but they're ready to die. Doctrines, teachings. For I have not found thy works perfect, complete, before God. So obviously the Reformation, although it breathed new life into the doctrine of Christ, did not have perfect works. It was not complete. Something was left undone. It's very interesting that at the Council of Trent, there was a major issue, and we'll be discussing this a little bit later in the lectures. The major issue was sola scriptura, the Bible and the Bible alone as standard. Rome said no. Bible and tradition. And tradition is the context in which the word must be evaluated. So tradition, man, is the one who supersedes and controls the issues of the Bible. That was the position of Rome. And man was the one who determined how it should be read. So the church decides what's right and wrong for you, not the word. The Reformation said no. Sola scriptura, sola gratia, saved by grace and grace alone, saved by Jesus Christ. And the word is the standard whereby we live. That was the issue. Who won at the Council of Trent? Good question. Rome won. The Reformation lost at the Council of Trent. Sad. I'll show it to you in a future lecture. The Reformation lost. A split came, yes. A split came, but the Reformation lost. They had the greatest opportunity in the history of the world to complete the works and to win, but they lost. Why? Because Rome could prove that their traditions superseded the Word. The Reformation wasn't doing what it was preaching. The Reformation had said, sola scriptura, the Word and the Word alone. And then the church asked, do you keep all the teachings? Why do you follow Rome in some issues and leave the Bible alone? Why did you set it aside? A cardinal got up and made a speech. I'll come to it in a future lecture. And said, why are you accepting our tradition over the Word? You are transgressing your own precepts. You mean nothing. You are just a rebellion. And the Reformation lost on that issue. It wasn't perfect before God. Sad story. Remember, therefore, how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast, and repent. If, therefore, thou shalt not watch, I will come on thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. That's a sad story too. If you reject light, sooner or later you won't be able to discern the time you are living in. And the coming of Christ will be a total surprise. Thou hast a few names, even in Sardes, which have not defiled their garments. So all was not wrong with the Reformation. The Reformation was a wonderful, powerful tool. It just didn't finish the job. It didn't go all the way. The work was not complete before God. And they shall walk with me in white. I wonder who they are. Could it be Johann Hus? Could it be Tyndall? Could it be Wycliffe? Could it be Martin Luther? Could it be all those great reformers? They are worthy. They stood for what they understood to be truth. He that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white raiment, and I will not blot his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. By the way, this is an interesting text. It doesn't say there, I will write his name in the book of life. It says, I will not blot his name out of the book of life. Wow! What's that tell you about God? How many people does God want to be saved? Everybody! Did you know that every person ever born was written in the book of life? And his choice decides whether he stays there or goes. Sad story. Anyway, this is Sardes, what it looked like. That's all that's left for him. This is a Muslim lady that accompanied us on that tour. Wonderful story. She accepted Christianity and had to run for her life as a consequence. Anyway, here's an old Byzantine church covered in. A farm is in it. This is an old synagogue that has been opened up over here and cleaned out. This is probably where Paul taught. And maybe Paul was in the synagogue in Sardes. If we go into history, well, this is the city of Prague. And today, pretty industrial, but the ancient city is very, very beautiful. One of the most beautifully preserved old cities in Europe. Very, very impressive. This is where Johann Hus preached. And here's a statue in his memory in front of these old buildings. And here is a song which they sang. Now, I can't read this Czech language over here, but in any case, this song is against the king of Babylon. Wow! This Hussite, Johann Hus, preached against the king of Babylon. And he preached that this king of Babylon was taking the place of Jesus Christ. And Hus was declared a heretic and sentenced to death at the stake. Thou hast a few names even in Sardes which are have not defiled their garments, and they shall walk with me in white, for they are worthy. Here's the old bridge over the river in Prague, and here they used to hang the body parts of the Hussites, who rejected the teachings of Rome and chose the teachings of the Bible. So if they were caught, then they cut off pieces, and they hung them here for all to see. So you'd have a corpse hanging there, an arm, a leg, a head, dangling, to remind you that it was not worth your while to go contrary to the teachings of the Church of the Middle Ages. As you cross this bridge today, you will find the pagan saints there, back in their place. Here's a lady putting her hand on this image. You can see how this bronze image over here is shiny from all the people who put their hands there, because they believe if they put their hands there, they will receive a special blessing. This is a Catholic saint who apparently died here by being dangled over the bridge. Actually, he was pulled up, so they say. And if you put your hand there, you receive a special blessing. So now you can receive a blessing through the activities of man. That's what the Hussites were fighting against. Man's elevation over Christ. Symbols of sun worship, the signs of the zodiac. Here is a Jesuit enclave over there with the letters IHS, Isis, Horus, Set, the Egyptian Trinity. The churches are being modified. Here's a health resort where you can buy some healthy foods. Here is Martin Luther. And here on this very stairway, which is called La Santa Scala, Martin Luther got up from his knees and said, "The just shall live by faith." You see, this stairway, it is claimed, was the stairway where Christ walked when he was sentenced to death by Pilate. And then one night, miraculously, the angels took the stairway from Jerusalem and plonked it down in Rome. That's how it got to be there. And then they built this cathedral around it, and today if you go up on it on your knees, you can receive a special blessing and 90 days absolution. You can still get it today. That means for 90 days you can do whatever you like and be forgiven ahead of time. Great system, except that it's not biblical. So I looked at these young people and old people crawling up here, trying to find forgiveness for whatever it is they had done or wished to do. Isn't that sad? When all you have to do is look at Jesus and say, "Here I am, Lord. I am a sinner. Forgive me." And Jesus will look down and says, "I do not condemn you. Go and sin no more." What a wonderful way of finding forgiveness. Hier stand vor Kaiser und Reich Martin Luther 1521. Here stood before the emperor and the kingdom Martin Luther. And he said, "Here I stand, I can do no other. Either it's the word or it's not the word." By the way, Martin Luther realized even where his works were not complete. But he couldn't do everything. His followers should have followed on, but they did not. And there he stood. And, well, that's history. The work was not completed. And so what happened? Because Martin Luther couldn't complete the work, another Christian denomination rose and said, "Hey, Martin, you missed out on something." And they started a new denomination. And they followed the new leader who was maybe called, whatever, Calvin. And they called themselves Calvinists. And then someone else discovered, "Hey, Calvin and Martin, you did not realize that the Bible teaches something else over here, you know." And then you have the Baptists. And they have some more information, and they had it. And the Lutherans say, "Well, Martin didn't see that, so neither do we." And the Calvinists say, "Well, we didn't see that either, so we're not going to follow that route." And then you have Wycliffe saying, "Whoa, you know, here's something great here that we've discovered in the Bible. Come, Protestant fellows, let's do this." Hey, no, you better do it on your own. Form your own denomination. And so, what happened? You have all these Christian denominations. Boom! Each with their doctrines, which are based on the Bible, but each claiming to have something other from the other that keeps them separate. Don't we all have the same Bible, yes or no? Don't we all have the same truth if we had one Bible, yes or no? And why so many denominations? Can't we find out what the truth is and do it?